Hello, and welcome to Superbwoman Sundays at 7. I'm your host, Janet Neal, and I am here live in Palm Springs, California for the Women at Woodstock retreat. And so happy to have my guest, Voorhees with me today. And so we have a little bit different format, as you can see. I actually have my guest here with me, which is really exciting. This is our first real live event. So thank you so much for joining us. Before I get to talking with Anne, let me give you a little bit of info about the Superbwoman, because some of you may not know who I am and what I do. So I started the Superbwoman about a year ago, and the intention was to help women to learn to be, to learn to let go of that superwoman role where it's all about doing, and instead to take that step back, to breathe, to understand what your strengths, your values, your joys, your passions, and then step into those, create and live a life that accommodates and utilizes all of that, because that is indeed powerful. And I'm all about helping women to become the powerful beings that they truly are. And so this is one of the ways I do this, besides my coaching and training. And the reason I started this Superbwoman Sundays at 7 is because I have been meeting absolutely incredible, powerful women who have these wonderful stories, and I love to be able to share them. You all need to hear these stories and meet these women. Anne is no exception here, and we're going to hear her story in just a minute. But I have one more thing to tell you. I'm very excited about this. This week, I launched a crowdfunding campaign. And for those of you who don't know what crowdfunding is, think of those donations. Like, for example, my sister is running the marathon in New York next week. And you know, they always collect donations to be able to complete it. Well, it's about having something, a project, a passion, something, and you want to help people. You want to have people to help donate to the cause, to help you to be able to achieve your goal. And that's what I have launched this week. It's called 1,000 Women Stronger campaign. And it's all about helping to empower 1,000 women nationwide to be able to help them to step into their power so that they can help themselves, they can help their families, they can help their neighbors, their communities. Indeed, they can help us all. And I am all about getting women to be powerful, to be able to help everybody, because in case you hadn't noticed, the world is kind of a mess. But women have the answer. So please go to plumalley.co and look for the 1,000 Women Stronger campaign. And if you donate $25 or more, you can be part of the 1 in 1,000 campaign, and you'll get a special Superbwoman t-shirt and a little thank you gift for doing that. So please join me, plumalley.co, and you'll be seeing a slide at the end of this that gives you more information. But enough about me. It is time for my guest. So Anne, thank you so much for being here so that I could be here at Palm Springs.
Thank you for inviting me on your show. I appreciate it.
Thanks. So Anne is the creator of the Women at Woodstock retreats for women over 50. And she and I met last year. I was introduced to her through Cindy Josephs, who some of you saw was my very first guest on the Superbwoman Sundays at 7 shows. And I was fortunate enough to do a workshop for the Women at Woodstock retreats last year, and I'm here to do another one this year. So Anne, tell us about the retreats, but more importantly, how did you even get to this place?
Well, the retreats are, as Janet said, for women over 50, and they're kind of not a conference like you normally go to with someone on a stage and you're taking notes and you have your kind of plastic goodie bag to go away with at the end of the day. They're also not kind of a kumbaya type of retreat where it's all, you know, dancing around the fire and not really do anything very focused. It's kind of the best of both worlds. These are small gatherings where we have several workshops on anything from business incubator to how to clear out all the excess stuff in your life, which is what Janet's doing this time, to where we have one with a therapist who's talking with all of us about how to set down your emotional baggage, and with some ways of doing that you might not have thought of before, painting workshop, all kinds of things. And we also have just a lot of networking, if you will. It's not the usual, here's my business card, listen to me talk about myself. It's women really meeting other women and getting to know them. And it kind of happens because we spend 3 days together. We have time to talk. We have time to get to know each other. We have time to kind of think through a conversation we had yesterday and talk about it again the next day. So that's what we do. And I got into it because I kind of hit the wall with my last conference that I went to, I don't know, 4 years ago probably. It was not a good experience for me. It was mostly younger women. Not that there's anything wrong with being a younger woman, but it was a different vibe. It was a different energy level, different focus. And I, you know what, my values are not, and my goals are not quite the same as this age group. And so I started talking to other women my age whenever I was talking to a client or whatever, saying, I wish there was a non-conference for women, just women over 50. And every time I brought it up, they would say, oh my God, Anne, you have to do that. You have to. So I just did. I mean, I totally took a leap and just did it. And it turned out really well, really well. It's been a phenomenal experience.
Yeah. And so this is the third one this year.
It's the third year. And this is actually our sixth conference, our sixth retreat. We had one in 2012 in Woodstock, Women at Woodstock, hence the name. The second year we repeated with Woodstock, and we also had one on the West Coast. This year we went to Woodstock, then we went to Charleston, South Carolina, and now we're here in La Quinta in Southern California.
I can attest to the fact that it's quite lovely.
It is. It's very lovely.
So this is not necessarily your background to be putting on events.
No, it's not at all my background. Although I guess I could say that I used to like to give pretty large parties. I was the one in the group when I was raising my kids who I actually rented a manor house and had a big party at the beginning of the holiday season every December, and it was sort of this traditional, kick off the holidays party with 85 people.
Wow.
Loved doing it. So I guess I kind of sharpened my teeth on that. But no, the only thing that I could say I'm prepared for is that I'm always switching careers. So the fact that it was new and I had to learn a lot is just kind of what I do. So and I've had a lot of help. A lot of women have helped me, given me advice. So it has gone well.
Yeah, they're wonderful. I can attest to that.
They are.
But you started off as an attorney, correct?
Yeah, that was my original plan. I wanted to be an environmental protection attorney, which I was. I was at the Region 2 office of the federal EPA as an enforcement attorney for New York, New Jersey, Puerto Rico, and the Virgin Islands. And I practiced law there for about 10 years. And then I had children. And I not only had children, I had some problems with pregnancy. And it came to the point where I would need to literally take a year off for each child, and I just didn't think that was right to do. So I just decided I'm not going to continue on, even if I hadn't had these medical problems at that time. If you worked part-time quotes, it was about 45 hours a week.
Did they allow it, attorney?
They would call it that. They would take you off the partnership track. They would pay you less. But it was still a huge commitment, and it was just too much. I didn't want to have that much time away from my kids. So I left the law, and then I went into publishing, and then I went into PR and marketing, and then into social media marketing, and now I'm doing this.
Well, let me go back to because I've heard your story and how you got into publishing. So it wasn't just like, oh, okay, now I'll do publishing. It was really very organic, right?
It was. I had always been the editor of the paper wherever I was in school. In my high school, I was a newspaper editor-in-chief, and at UCLA, I was the editor of Together magazine. It was the feminist magazine funded by the college. Came out once a month.
Wow.
And so I had a background. I had a background in all the kind of mechanics, copy editing, selling ads, and printing and all that. So with that background, when I I moved from New York City to Shaker Heights, Ohio, to raise my daughters. And when I was there, I realized there was no parenting publication to fill in everyone on everything that was of interest to parents and everything we know. So I thought, we need this. So I'm going to start a magazine. So you can see the pattern in my life.
Yes.
Just jump in and just do
Yep.
it. And I published a magazine. It actually grew into 2 magazines. I published side by side for 15 years until I sold them and continued on with the marketing and PR that had kind of developed out of my relationships with all my advertisers.
And then did the social media kind of evolve as a result of doing the PR work?
It did. PR and marketing are supposed to be 2 separate fields, but there's always a lot of overlap. And when the internet came along and things like Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter came along, I jumped on those. I've always been a techie person and really thought these are very cool publishing techniques, really. I mean, you're just self-broadcasting anyways when you're doing social media. So I learned them quickly. I taught my clients how to use them. I helped them use them. And it became so satisfying and so much fun and such a great way to level the playing field for small business owners. Unlike an ad budget that can't compare to a larger company that can buy out the newspapers and whatever, that I just fell in love with the whole concept. So I eventually kind of peeled away my PR clients and my kind of traditional marketing clients and just concentrated on that. And again, it was sort of an organic development over time.
So I love Anne's story because it really shows that you can make all of these changes in your life, but it may seem at first blush like it's like not related at all, but as you just saw, that it was very organic, that it was like she kept going back and understanding what was important to her, what skills she liked, what was of interest to her, and then just kind of leaned into it. And so I really applaud you for taking all those twists and turns.
Thank you.
So along the way, I'm sure that you didn't do this all by yourself. Who's been somebody or a couple of people who've helped you on your path?
It's almost exclusively been women in my age group. I tend to socialize. I tend to talk about my plans, and usually there's more than one woman who likes the idea and wants to jump in and help out or be a part of it. So I had, for example, one of the women in my group of friends that I was raising my children kind of with, worked for me on my magazines for 12 and a half years. And she just really liked the idea and she was committed, and we had some high and low times and she just stuck it out. So I get a lot of advice from other women, and I get a lot of connections. Let me introduce you to so and so who can help you out. And that's been really my base. It's been a very broad base of friendships with other women.
I found the same thing myself, having worked in the corporate realms and then, as an entrepreneur. And people who have only worked in the corporate realms have said to me, yes, that women are always, fighting each other for, for the position, and they don't help each other. And I found the exact opposite to be true once you get out of that corporate. Is that the same experience you've had?
I would say yes. I mean, there are always exceptions. I had a competitor. My parenting magazines were in Cleveland, which is not a huge city, and I'd say about 9 months after I launched my first magazine, another woman launched a very similar magazine, which was, first of all, it's hard to compete, but in a small town like that, we there weren't enough advertisers really to divide up between us and both of us do well. So I contacted her and said, hey, let's meet, let's talk about this. We're both trying to do the same thing. Maybe we could combine forces. And she absolutely refused. She would not. If we were at the same event getting awards, she wouldn't even acknowledge me. So, sometimes it just turns out that way. But in general, I would say most women that I've ever dealt with have been very cooperative and willing to, especially put our heads together if we can make the work less and make the income more. That's very, we all see the value in that. Almost all of us do.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the cooperation amongst women, wanting to help somebody else. It's remarkable when you learn to ask for help.
You know what? And that's a great point, because it has taken me a long time to be able to ask for help. And I remember when I was pregnant with my second daughter, I was supposed to be on bed rest, like Liz Taylor style, for 6 months.
With all the help
With
that Liz Taylor had?
Oh, yes, of course. It was exactly the same lifestyle. Yes. And it was tough. And I was not used to asking for help. And I ended up actually picking up the phone and asking friends if they would pick up groceries for me and do other errands like that. And it felt very foreign. It really felt terrible at first. But they were so willing, and it made such a difference in my life. It kind of taught me a lesson that that's something you should always think of, and it's not a sign of weakness. And you just know in your heart that you're going to pay that back. Maybe not to them, maybe to the next person, but it's such a breakthrough to realize you can do that. A real breakthrough.
Yeah, and I have found it's difficult for a lot of women to ask for help. I don't know if it's the way you're brought up or what, but I know myself, it took a long time before I could learn how to ask for help, ask for what I needed. First of all, to understand what it is I needed. Which is another whole, we could do a whole nother show on that one. So Anne has been the recipient, attendee at my workshop on hanging up the cape, learning to step into your power, and talking about my favorite word, should. My belief is that a should is something that's outside of yourself, that you've taken on as true, whether or not it is for you or not. And it's a great opportunity for you to figure that out, whether that's of value to you or not. So, Anne,
yes,
what's one should that you have released in your life?
Well, can I tell them about your workshop from last year?
Oh, go right ahead.
It was a real game changer for me. I've always been living by the shoulds, and the should is always, I should be doing 5 times more than everybody else, first of all, and then just the general, shoulds that we all live by. And you had us fill out a really simple worksheet listing on one side the things that we valued and we thought were important in our lives, and on the other side the ways we actually spent our time. And at first, I told you this, I looked at the worksheet and thought, well, this is lame. This is not going to do anything good. But I dutifully filled it out. And when I did, I just went, holy, I'm looking at this list on the left. It's all beautifully balanced and all these wonderful, healthy and good things. And on the right, pretty much all I had was I sit at my computer and work. That's it.
Yeah.
And I knew it, but it didn't strike me. And since then, I've started riding a bike every Thursday morning. It's like my semi-retirement before I, easing in there over the next 12 years or so. But I do that every week. I take a walk with friends once a week. I have been taking a ballet class, beach yoga, yoga down on the beach by the waves. And I've been much healthier. And something just like a trigger went on. And that was amazing for me, because I can't tell you how many years I've been saying, oh, I'm not living a healthy life. I have to do something about it. I should do something about it.
Right.
Never did.
Yeah.
Until then.
Well, good for you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, if you're living by the beach in California.
Yeah, what are you doing? Sitting in your
and I know this has been, you've had some challenges this year with some business stuff going on. And have you noticed, well, you haven't done it before and after, but do you think that you're better able to handle things that are coming up because you are taking the time for yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. I think first of all, you just handle stress better anyway. But I also have kind of changed my my emphasis, which is if it really, really gets bad and it's totally pressured and it just seems to be going out of control, instead of just sitting at my computer and grinding away for 15 or 16 hours, staying up till 2 in the morning, I have actually started saying, you know what? If it's not important enough for me to get outside and have some fresh air, then something's very wrong with my life. And what's an hour going to do? Is it going to save my business or save this problem? No. So I just go anyway. And I tell you, when I get out the door and just take a breath of fresh air, it's like I don't know, it's like going into a meditative state or something. It's not just, oh, I took a break. It's, I got out. I stopped looking at it. It feels so good.
Yeah. Well, physically, actually, what you do when you do that is that you stop the flow of the stress hormones. So it really does make sense that it feels like a meditation because you stopped that and you're allowing those good endorphins to start coming back into your life, and you increase your blood flow to your head, which actually makes you think better. So
yes,
great example.
Probably if anybody sat and asked themselves about an aha moment or some of the aha moments in their lives, they would probably realize those were at times when they were, excuse me, on vacation or doing something away from their day-to-day life, and something snapped into perspective.
Yep.
So what you say makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah. I just want to remind our viewers that if you have any questions, feel free to type them in and we'll be glad to get to them for you. So, Anne, what's next on your agenda? I know things kind of pop on your path, but do you have anything coming up next?
I do. I have two things. One is I've realized the stress of doing these retreats and trying to get them populated and get all the details worked out is really too much. And unless I want to go the route of hiring a staff of 6 and really blowing this thing up as a business, which I don't, frankly, I'd rather keep it. I have a couple of really wonderful assistants who work with me, and I love the events that we have, and I've met so many amazing women. I'd like to keep them small like they are. So I'm really going to simplify next year. I'm not quite sure how, but I'm going to simplify the way that I go about doing Women at Woodstock, for one thing. And the other is this year, see, I come out of Women at Woodstock getting benefits from the workshops that we have. And this year we have Victoria Zackheim and Anne Perry, both very respected authors, teaching writing workshops. And I actually took Victoria's writing workshop in Charleston.
Oh.
And kind of had this epiphany. I've always been said all my life, I want to write. I would love to write, a novel and some other things I've had in mind. I've never done it. And I started one little thing in her class that just kind of blew her away and blew me away and made me realize, you know what? I am going to set aside some time and start writing. So I can't give any more details than that because I don't know how it's going to go. But I'm tired of saying, well, I should do that one day. I'm going to do it. I'm doing it.
Good for you.
Yeah, that feels really good. No real plan. Just that I'm going to do it.
Well, again, just like I know you can, because you've just told us how you can do that with the exercise and taking it. So it's a matter of getting a routine about it and setting up the right time that's going to work for you, and just do it.
Yep, exactly.
That's fabulous.
Yeah.
So we're here in La Quinta. And we're about to start the retreat. It's going to start this evening. So why don't you tell people a little bit about what's going to be going on so people have an idea of what goes on at Women at Woodstock.
We always start with wine. I'll give you that first. We always have a welcome party just so that everyone can get to know each other and relax a little bit. And we have dinner together. And then we have some sort of opening night event. Our first year it was a one-woman play with Alice Barden. Last year it was showing a film of her play and another film from a filmmaker who was working on a documentary. We saw a short from that. This year we're having a conversation. It's called In Conversation, between Victoria Zackheim and Anne Perry, the two authors, about taking risks and taking risks with your writing. And it sounds simple. It is a simple topic. But the conversation that flows from that always gets women going. It always develops into a room-wide conversation that causes a few aha moments, I would say, among the group. So we're doing that, and then for the next 2 days, we're having a painting workshop. One of the most licensed artists in the world.
Wow.
Yeah, she does the Chef series. When you see one of her works, you'll know it. It's like women with enormous bodies and little tiny feet, little tiny faces in their old-timey style bathing suits, and
Right.
and then the chefs that are, same body build. They're very whimsical, and her work is on textiles and ceramic ware and posters, and of course she sells original paintings too, but fabulous stuff. So she's doing a really fun painting workshop tomorrow, and I won't tell you, there's a secret part of it that's going to be really, really fun. And then we have Linnea Duvall, the therapist, who's going to talk about setting down your emotional baggage. Linda Lowen is with us, who is the host of Take Care on NPR, and the most amazing insider who gives us information and tips and warnings on how to do well in an interview, such as now. And she
she's done without it.
See, you're one of the kind interviewers. She talks about someone aren't so kind, but she's so much fun. She always has the whole place laughing for an hour. And who else are we having? Well, 4 different writing workshops with Victoria and also with Anne. And now my mind is blanking out, and I can't believe it. You! I'm so sorry. Your workshop on how to set down, how to get rid of the stuff that you need to get rid of. And it sounds, I don't know, it might not sound that serious, but honestly, I personally am drowning in excess stuff. I'm on second marriage, actually third marriage for my husband, and we have good stuff from all these households. And for me, I have this enormous truckload of guilt that I brought with me in the form of baby clothes, my original dishware, toys that they have. I mean, it's crazy. And I can't, it's not that I don't know how to get rid of it. I can't let myself get rid of it. So you're going to help me.
Yes. Yes. Anne will be in my workshop.
When I forgot about myself too.
Yeah.
So see, it's not so bad. I'm doing a workshop on social media marketing for small business owners.
Yeah.
And we speed through a whole bunch of stuff and cover all the basics, and then wrap it up with a plan for how you can actually get it done and not be saying, oh, I should spend 2 more hours on social media every day.
Right.
We don't want the should in there.
She's a good student.
I tried.
Good. Well, I am very much looking forward to it. It's always been wonderful in the past, and I have no reason to doubt it's just going to be better than the ones before. So
fantastic.
Yeah.
I know your workshop's going to be great.
Thanks. Well, we are just about out of time here. So I want to thank you very much, Anne, for being my guest.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, pleasure. So delighted to do it live here. This is kind of a fun new thing. Might have to do this again in the future. So next week, I want to tell you, please join us, where my guest is going to be my friend Janice McLeod. This is her book, Harris Letters, and you're going to love her story. Janice and I met in grad school. She was in the advertising agent world, doing copywriting for ads. And you'll have to hear her story of how she got over to Paris and fell in love. So she's a great storyteller, and you'll be absolutely amazed at her process and how she did that. So join us next week. That will be Superbwoman Sundays at 7 on November, what is it going to be?
Oh my gosh, that's the 2nd, is it?
The 2nd. Thank you.
Sunday the 2nd.
Yeah. Yes. And if you have any questions for Anne, or if you've got any questions for any upcoming guests, please tweet them to me. And the tweet is at the Superbwoman. Don't forget the B. It's all about the B. So until next week, thanks so much. Bye.